Hey everybody, Pat Benage here, the evolution coach, creator of the 6-week shift, the inner path, and this inspirational blog, SoulTalk. And first of all, since this is coming out on Mother's Day, I want to wish all the mothers out there happy Mother's Day, and hope that it's a wonderful day for you. And those that aren't mothers, have a great day as well. I want to continue the theme of what I started last week. I mean, I've always tried to offer my truth here, and that's been really a theme for my life, is pursuing my own inner truth, pursuing truth in general. And as I mentioned last time, I feel like I'm being guided to step my game up a little bit, to focus my attention on the higher truths, those truths that are universal. And there are truths, despite what many people think, there are truths that are true no matter what. Our experiences of them are relative. We each have our own individual experiences, but truth still exists. For example, karma, or cause and effect, it exists. It's a truth. It's undeniable that if you put a cause out there, you're going to feel the effect of it. And so that's a universal truth. But what I'm trying to focus on is more of the truths that are really expansive for us. I mean, I'll talk about all of them over time, but I want to get us to offer something that paints the bigger picture of life, of ourselves and of life, so that we might expand into that, because growth requires, it is expansion, but it requires that ability to accept something greater. If you don't recognize that there's anything greater, then you can't expand into it. And so what I want to talk about today is a truth that is, I think, one of the more difficult truths for humans to accept. And that is that life is perfect. And I've said this before many times, but life is perfect. Just exactly how it is, how it shows up in every single moment is perfect. Now, that doesn't mean that if it's not perfect for you, that you're doing something wrong. It doesn't mean that you ought to be happy all the time, that our purpose is to be happy and joyful. I see that as one of the things that is our nature, but it isn't our purpose. And life really is here to serve our purpose, which is to realize who we are. And realize is more than just an understanding of who we are. Realize is to make real, to make it real in our experience, to know completely through experience who we are, what our true nature is. And so life is here to help facilitate that. We come into this physical realm with all of its apparent flaws, because they help us to understand and to become and to realize our very nature, our truth. So what I see is that we get tripped up because we want life to work out a certain way. We want the results of the causes that we put into play to be a certain way. And when it doesn't show up that way, then we believe life isn't working properly. We blame the system, so to speak. But what that does is that we're laying our responsibility off on something else outside of ourselves. And the truth is that I am responsible for everything that I experience in life. Because life has no judgment about that. The way life has been set up, it doesn't operate, well, this person's a good person, so I'm going to give them what they want, and this person's not, and so I'm not. It doesn't work that way. Life is there's no judgment there. There's no judgment. Just like God, there's no judgment from God. It's it's exacting and it's perfect in its production of effects from the causes that we set in motion. And it's only when we begin to take responsibility for the causes that we've put in motion that we start to be able to change our experience. Up until we accept the responsibility, we basically we're placing ourselves at the mercy of life. And yet we're the ones that are controlling what's happening. You know, whether we do it by default or we do it consciously is up to us. Whether we have any awareness of how we're affecting it, you know, that's neither here nor there, because life doesn't care. Life just responds to what we produce. So we produce thoughts, words, actions, and life responds to those. And it responds in all sorts of forms. It responds through other people. It responds through, you know, every possible option that exists. And so it's really impossible to determine how life is going to respond to what I put out there. But at the same time, if I'm conscious of what I'm putting out there, if I'm taking responsibility for all of my thoughts, my words, and my actions, then I can observe what does happen. I can observe how life responds to my offering. And I can learn how to create the life that I want. For me, that's how creating the life out here that I want is not that important. I mean, obviously I like it to be, you know, certain ways, but The critical part for me is getting clear about who I am and making every offering align with who I am, my truth. We get caught up with trying to manipulate life to produce something that we want, to give us what we want. We try to manipulate life to give us what we want. And what happens is we set things in motion that we don't have any idea are going to be set in motion. And they produce effects that oftentimes are contradictory to what we say we want. Because we don't understand all of the little things about life and how it works. And what is true is that life responds directly to my thoughts, words, and actions. And the way to produce the effect that I want, which is for life to be in alignment with who I am, then I have to line everything up myself. I have to line up who I am with my thoughts, my words, and my deeds. And when all of those line up, the amazing thing about this is that that is the nature of life as well. And so when we bring ourselves into alignment, we bring ourselves into alignment not only within our own being, but within life itself. And one of the things that I've talked about in the past is not just getting in the flow or going with the flow, but being the flow. And this is what I'm talking about. That when I'm lining up, when I'm aligned, my whole being is aligned, then it automatically, life lines up with it. Because automatically life responds exactly and perfectly to how I am being. And so it lines up, and then all of life has lined up. And I am the flow of life. I am the flow. And my experience of what happens when that lines up is that no matter what shows up, because life will line up, but you get people around you that are not aligned. But when I'm completely aligned, none of that affects me. And in actuality, I find that almost nothing shows up in my presence that isn't lined up. It's almost like it just can't come into my field of awareness, because it's not lined up, because life is going to move it in a different direction. And that's people, that's events, that's things that but when I'm not aligned, then all sorts of things can come in, because they're going to be there to show me that I'm not aligned. And that's the perfection of life, is that it's here. All of the effects that you experience are there to show you that whether you're aligned with your true self or you're not. Everything. It's going to give you the opportunity then to rise above, to transcend whatever's showing up and be your true self. It's always a choice that you have in every moment. You have the choice to decide to be who you are, and if you are that, then you will see that life is perfect. As long as you see life as imperfect, that's an indication to you that you are not in alignment with your true self. Simple as that. Yeah, it's just as simple as that. There's no there's no halfway. You're either there or you're not. And in some moments we're there more easily than others. But if you're not there, if there's things about your life that prevent you from being there, that you can't immediately overcome this thing to transcend it and see it clearly as something perfect, then there's still work to be done. There's still work to be done. And that's true of almost everybody I know. And myself included there. There's still work to be done. That's okay. That's what life is about. But you got to take responsibility for your thoughts, words, and deeds. Because those are what are producing your experience. They're the causes that produce the effect. And you experience the effect. And if the effect that you're experiencing is not what you want, then you have to change your thoughts, words, and deeds. You have to line them up with who you really are, with soul. So, I hope that's illuminating for you. It has been for me. It has been for me to go back and recognize that and be aware of that and to remember that, especially in those moments when it's most difficult. So, thanks so much for being here again. Again, happy Mother's Day, and remember to live your life from the inside out. We'll see you next week.